If you want to make sure you stay in good conversation, you gotta tune in to Coffee and Conversation with Collette. That's me, Thursday mornings from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. on the only station, WHBR TV 33. See you soon. We're back. Amazing morning to you. If you're just tuning in, it's a little bit after the 8 o'clock hour. You're officially tuned in to Coffee and Conversation with Collette. I guess it's a cooler day outside. I know the public schools, had closed the last couple of days because of the heat. Did you ever wonder why we go through this every year, why the school district has not allocated some type of funding in the budget to put some type of air in the schools? I was shocked. I didn't even know that Cass Tech didn't have air. But wouldn't you just think, why wouldn't we have created some type of plan where the schools at some point are upgraded with air so that the children don't have to leave the school environment because of the heat to then go home or play outside or do something? Maybe that's all by design, that I don't have to support you in education because, technically there's a prison pipeline, you can choose this, or who knows, I'm just asking. Did you think about that? And is that just urban area schools? You think about those things, like how to level the playing field? I'm just asking, but you're officially, if you're just tuning in, to the 8 o'clock hour. It's a little bit after 8. This is our freestyle hour. So, of course, I'm going to piggyback on the conversations with Roseanne. I'm going to go to the clip after we finish this call. And then if you want to talk about the Mackinac Policy Conference, if you want to talk about, I have an article about this new Detroit-based online sneaker company that is making waves and making money. If you want to talk about John Conyers Jr. trying to get back on the ballot, you want to talk about campaigns, if you want to talk about empowerment, if you want to talk about investments, if you want to talk about religion, we can talk about any and all of it. This is our open line time. So, of course, whatever's on your mind, what do they say, is on the line. So you can definitely tune in. But let me go back to 8 Mile so he can finish his thought. Thanks for your patience. Good morning to you.
Thank you, dear.
You're welcome.
Well, like I said, I thank you for showing that clip.
Sure.
But letting it be known that the racism over 30 years ago is still in existence. Okay. And some of this racism is orchestrated by people that look like me.
Okay. I think
Thank you.
Okay, sure.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, at the end of the day, we didn't start racism, right? We were trained, and we've been trained to be racist acting or prejudice to people that look like us. It's amazing to see it unfold. We always talk about we don't have the heroes and sheroes up in the limelight, but where those of us who are won't necessarily pull anyone else up, and then when they get there, we have nothing but negative things to say about them and the assassination of their characters. I don't get that. Like, whatever happened to the days that you could have those conversations at home? So guess what? You can't tell me, if you just think about everything back with King and all of the powers that be and all of the voices around those round tables, they probably disagreed a lot. Like, oh, you this, we shouldn't do it this way, you think you're this, da, da, da. But when they went out in front, they had a united front, right? When they went outside those doors, everyone agreed that this is our voice, this is what we're going to say, everyone's going to agree to it, we can fight like cats and dogs behind the scenes. When we get outside, this is what we're all going to do. For whatever reason, I know, I forgot, because we're jockeying for position or what we think is power. So I got to make myself look better. I got to be the one that's the head Negro over all the Negroes. That's why we got a church on every corner. That's why you have all these same social service groups. You got 50 million of those. Everybody wants a nonprofit because no one wants to sow into what's already existing so we can just make that better to help more people. Everyone wants to think that their leadership can be better, but they don't know how to lead. We've talked about that. Is it black leaders or leading blacks? Just because someone puts you on doesn't mean that you're a leader. Doesn't mean that you have a skill set. That's not what that means. But we're so quick to then because they're people that we can't control, and they want to assassinate their character and their conversation. You don't have to agree to it, but isn't this America? For those of us who are
Yeah.
people of color, we kill our democratic opportunity to give our voices out into the universe because we want to argue and say, oh, well, she thinks she knows. Well, what if she knows? Well, he thinks he's this. Well, what if he is? What's the problem with it?
Well, Miss Collette,
Yes.
one of the things that you showed earlier today from the Archie Bunker era is, I'm going to now not talk DJ 8 Mile, my
Okay.
personal opinion. I'm
Sure.
just going to talk stereotypical. You showed the image of a man that looked like me, that was married with a woman that looked like him, that's supposed to have made it to the top
Yes.
just because he had a business. Nah, as many businesses have been in existence for the last 100 years, you shouldn't be happy because of your color that you have a successful business. You should be happy over your business because it helps you provide for your family. That whole aspect of George Jefferson was totally irrelevant.
Well,
Because he was,
stay right there,
financially
Amal. I didn't hear what you said. You said George Jefferson was what? I missed that.
He was a successful businessman,
Yes, he was.
not a successful family man. That's how come his viewpoint was of a perspective. It was about making money. Okay. When it came down to personal opinion, he cared less how he treated the next man. That's part of bigotry.
Yeah, but I'm going to disagree for a minute. I believe he was a successful family man from what we saw because it showed him working within his family. You didn't ever hear George Jefferson have about a girlfriend. You didn't hear about him once his wife was working hard with them to once they moved on up, he didn't dump her and go get a white girl. You didn't hear, George Jefferson was who he was. Everyone knew who he was, but he supported his wife. He supported his son Lionel. They had a housekeeper that looked like them. I mean, he did, and he was a product of his era, and he helped manage and take care of his family. I think he was absolutely a family man.
Okay.
Absolutely.
No. I said a successful businessman.
Right, and then I thought you said something about the family man, that he
No.
wasn't a
I'm
family
saying
man.
a successful businessman to take care of his family
Yes.
is not the same as a family man with successful business.
Oh, sure.
And I made a comment about the Chinese restaurant.
Right.
Most Chinese restaurants are family-run business.
Yes.
So a family-run business is based on the complete unit being about the business to provide for the family.
Absolutely.
Now, from that perspective, he ran the cleaning. He ran the cleaning, and it was successful. People have to spend money to get their clothes clean. If
Okay.
people are not spending money to get their clothes clean, then he's not making any money. So at the time and era of the business that he had, they used to sell clothes that you couldn't wash.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the reasons why he was successful, because he was in an environment of people that was doing that.
Sure.
But when it came down to his wife and when it came down to his son, it was not part of his business. That's what he was a successful man, take care of his family. He wasn't a family man that had a successful business.
But maybe
most
what we
family
just say,
business have
but we
more
didn't,
than just
but
one
we didn't
person
see, we
part
didn't
of
see that.
Well,
We didn't see that. Maybe in the onset she started with him until they had children, and then it was his goal for her to stay at home and take care of the child. I mean, we don't know. You can't tell me in that time that there wasn't a position in which she was working in that cleaners helping them build it. I mean, that's just the nature.
I'm not going to ever say that. That never happened.
I'm just saying,
I'm talking about
that's
the
just the nature.
criteria of particular white thing.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I think our bigger, maybe the real conversation we should be having is why we don't have successful families. You can't do anything, business or otherwise, without having a successful family. And I mean successful that we don't have families, the traditional structure of families. So why aren't we married anymore? Man, woman, family in a house, committed, having children, raising your family. We as people of color have disconnected that. I think specifically black folk. I don't know know where it came. We had a conversation on this show a couple of months ago that one of the first goals out of emancipation was to reinstate the black family. We were smart enough then to know that our success will only come when we are back together as a unit. And I don't know
Correct.
how all of a sudden, all throughout all this time, and yeah, don't tell me about the government giving money and tell me about all that kind of stuff. That didn't have to still break up our families. We started listening to this mindset that the initial caller alluded to, that the black woman is getting out there, she's making more money. Now you got people saying that you don't need the black man, you don't need your husband, you don't have to stay at home, he's not doing enough, you can go find somebody better. And those are probably the disgruntled mothers and great grandmothers who didn't have a choice and who they wanted to marry. They were never happy. They had to stay at home and raise the kids. So now they're putting their stuff on the next generation. Versus, guess what? It's not about love. In love. You all realize that? The other groups and cultures who have successful families, it's based on a mutual respect for each other, and then I grow to love you. That's what this is. That was the whole arranged marriage thing. That was the whole thing. They weren't marrying for love. They were marrying for a commonality, growth, and commitment for the family. And then throughout that, I will grow to love you as we grow this family structure. When we decide we want to love somebody, whatever that looks like, then we're off the chain, or then we'll get mad, and then we're definitely not trying to get married anymore. And I believe it assassinates the black family. And I tell everyone, I tell my story. I should have been married 2 or 3 times. 2 or 3. And at the end of all of it, the men in the onset who pursued me, who understood me, as they said, all of those things, had to come back and admit that they never thought they were good enough for me. I mean, what is that? Like, at the end of the day, are you serious right now? Like, I mean, the truth is I don't really care. Because that's not who I was supposed to be with. But I'm just saying, as a black man, if you understand who America is, if you are fortunate enough to meet someone who will meet you right where you are, respect where you are, support you where you are, help sow into you to make situations better for you as a team unit, never disrespecting you, thinking less of you, none of those things, and no matter what, you still can't get through because that's maybe your self-esteem issue. So I count it as a privilege that I dodged those bullets. But I'm just saying, like, what does that look like in trying to create successful structures? So now you got black men thinking, I don't need a woman because all of them out here are gold diggers. All of them out here just want your paper. All I got to do is do a flash and grab, throw a couple dollars here, and that's all I'll use her for. Is when I want some company or I want some comfort, that's what I'll use it for, and then I'm on about my business. And then I'll just take care of my children. It don't have nothing to do with her. I can still take care of my children and have a relationship with my children. I just don't have to have a relationship with their mama. Are you kidding? Where does that even come from?
Well, it comes from in this community. There's this term here in the metropolitan Detroit, especially among people that look like us. This is a dirty term. It's called broke Negro.
It's called who?
Okay. Broke Negro. Meaning in our community, it doesn't really, there's a percentage of people in our community. It doesn't matter how you get the money, whether positively, negatively, legally, illegally, morally, immorally. As long as you got it to provide whatever it is that's the demand, you're good.
Well, let me just stay there, because I want to say this. I really want to say this, and I know a lot of you might not like it. All the lines are lit, and I'm going to get to everyone today. I don't have a moral compass as it pertains to how wealth is created in America. They put morality on us. Are you kidding me? Do you know how America was built? Let me just revisit that conversation. You had a group of people, original people who were here, living, thriving, catering to the land, growing, everything was great. All the crooks and thieves were pushed out of one country on a ship. Y'all end up landing on some land. You end up meeting a group of people because you all were thieves and cons and connivers anyway. So you befriended these people that helped save your lives, as the story says, only for you to then oppress them, colonize them, put them in reservations, take their children away, put them in private schools, change their language, change their eating, cut their hair, and to assimilate them into what you believe was morally acceptable. And so I'm sorry, since that onset, and then now 500, 600, 700, 1,000 years later, we're now in a space of talking about what's morally wrong, how people live, how you get money. They don't live in morality. But we're the first ones to put that on ourselves. Oh, well, he shouldn't do that. They've been doing it. Where do you think the mob came from? Where do you think, are you kidding me?
Thank you.
But we're so quick. We're so quick to put that on
between
us.
Me and you,
stop.
Time and effort means more than money.
Who? I didn't hear what you said.
I said, thank you for bringing that point up. Because what me and you have in common as a mindset is time and effort means more than money.
Well, somewhat. I didn't say that.
Money can get your power.
I mean, time and effort,
you know
I think,
are
equivalent, and you need money. You need money.
Why you're successful.
Well, you need money, and I'm not in a position to tell anyone how they should make money in America. Because everything that I believe America is based on is ill-gotten gain from the simple fact that the people that look like us built America still haven't reaped the benefits or these reparations off of that. And our blood, sweat, toil, and tears still empowers folks to have wealth on today. And then we still want to sit up here and talk about we can't do this and we can't do that. And we got tons of us who are sitting in jails right now off of cannabis or marijuana laws, where you just saw the $1 million bust over there the other day. You got illegal grows all over the place. But the people that look like us in urban communities won't create legislation to make the businesses viable and real, so people can look like us that can create emergent opportunities from this industry to gain monies as opposed to doing it illegally. But that's a whole different conversation, because we're caught up in morality because the church said it's bad and the black folks say it's bad. I'm a cannabis activist. I'm an ambassador for the business of cannabis. I had to stop some colored folks, and I said to colored folks. I had to stop them the other day at a town meeting. Lady jumped up talking about, oh, and it's bad for the community, and it's killing us all, and this, that, and the other. Are you kidding me? Well, how is cannabis bad for the community and it's killing us? You all have known about trap houses all your life. You know where the house is on the block where they're selling all the drugs. Nobody's shut them down. You didn't, and the 2 or 3 people that was making money off of that, nobody said anything about that. Y'all didn't develop it now into a viable business that can be legal when we still poo-pooing on that. I mean, which way you gonna have it? Are you going to have it one way, or are you going to just keep flipping and flopping? Because everybody else right now, all those other white boys out off of Silicon Valley who've left them corporate jobs, who are making millions of dollars a year on growing cannabis, creating industry off of cannabis, there's no morality clause. There's no morality clause in that.
You are so right. That's why I have to say, we must put you on this pedestal.
No, I don't need any pedestal. That's not what I need.
You talk the reality that what you see with your eyes, you talk the reality that you know with your heart.
I just want us to think.
Sometimes they're together, sometimes they're separate, but it's all within one of you.
I don't know, but I appreciate your call. All I want, and I'm going to get all the other lines and I'm going to get everyone else in. I just want us to think. Dear. You too. Make it better. Y'all, I just want us to think about what we say versus what we see, and then juxtapose that to what others are doing that create wealth. And we do it every day and put our lives on the line. You all know somebody every day that's putting their lives on the line in some kind of capacity with some kind of product or service that could get them time if brought into the correctional facility. If you get into that area, you know that it could cause some things for them because they're people of color, but everybody else is doing it. You can't tell me you think that all these people that live out, who drive Woodward down, you living in Birmingham and all these big suburban areas, and you think that everyone created their wealth because they work downtown? I'm like, what, they rolled Woodward and they worked downtown? You think that that's how they created their wealth? Stop. Stop it. America was built on bootlegging. Like, are you kidding me? Stop. We're the only ones who don't know how to make it work for us. How's that? That's just the truth of it. So again, this whole everyday racism is because we're consistently waiting again for someone to treat us differently when they know who we believe them to be. Well, they know who we are. So they manipulate us and we just fall right into it. How's that? And we just keep wanting them to accept us. Oh, just treat me nice now. Can you accept me now? Accept me now. Did I do good now? Are you comfortable with me now? Can we be friends now? Can I move next to you now? Can I send my children to your school now? I'm just asking. What's my thought? Let me go to the line. Thanks for your patience. Great morning to you.
Good morning, Queen.
Good morning, King.
Excellent subject as usual.
Thank you.
Queen, you know what you're saying. You know, it's the mind. In other words, the mind that we have an inferior mindset.
Yes.
And then you have those who have a superior mindset.
Yes.
And we have been through things in our time that we ought to be able to look back and look at the world that we live in.
Yes.
Do we want to bring in a new world, or do we love the evil world that we live in? Because, you know, we measure success sometimes by material things.
Yes.
And success is not in an individual.
Okay.
You know, I can look for to be successful myself, but if the whole of us is not successful, that's the real success, when all of us are benefiting from the success. Okay. But as individuals, you know, we look at them as success, and then within the twinkling of an eye, those who actually made it successful bring them down.
Okay.
And we witnessed that on many occasions. We looked at our brother Michael Jackson.
Okay.
We looked at Cosby. We looked at O.J. And they had billions of dollars.
Yeah.
But what happened to them? And we looked at that as successful. The powers to be brought them down overnight because they have that power. But we today ought to be able to look at the world and then understand why God allowed us to go through this. Okay. Because this was a divine reason why we went through what we went through.
Okay.
And so we suffered, but we suffered at the hand of an enemy that God made for the purpose that they served.
Okay.
But if we want to continue to their world going on and build behind them, their world will never end. See?
Okay.
And us today, we have a different mindset.
Yeah.
We were bringing all the different world.
Sure.
And those individuals that built this world, with the mindset they have, they want to be able to exist in our world.
Sure. Well, you know what? And
let
me ask you, King, I'm going to ask this. Maybe the truth of all of it is, all of us just want it to be better when we die. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say it again. Maybe all of us, instead of doing the work right now, instead of looking at it for what it is right now, instead of really understanding the truths of why we do what we do, really understanding the society the way that it is, to make the most of it for us right now, we'll just go into those old Negro spirituals that it'll all get better by and by, one day when this life is over. So we just figured that we should just suffer and be less than and have less than, because that is what our lot in life is right here in this physical form. And then maybe it'll just be better for us when we die. Because then when we die, we're going to say the troubles of this old world, then we won't have those cares anymore. That means that we won't have to do anything anymore. Well, the truth is, if you don't do anything now, if you don't understand it now, I thought it was about right here, right now. Like, guess what? I don't care if they don't create opportunities for us. How do you expect them to? That's who America is. We were never supposed to be equal. It sounded nice. to get you to buy into after segregation, to make you feel like you were welcome and to make you feel like you were special and to get your money and to have you turn into a consumer and to buy into this ideology. But why do we have to be together? I mean,
Queen,
I just
I question what you just said.
Sure.
All the time. And I wonder, how did they convince us to believe in this life after death anyway?
Yeah.
Who came back to say that something's out in the heavens after all of this?
Yes.
When I look at all of the creation around me, the birds and the ants and the butterflies, they live on this stand as if they appreciate the life that they have now.
Yes.
And we the only people that wants to believe that God is going to promise us something after we dead, and he is blessed with the life that we have now, and we ain't doing nothing with it.
Yeah. Well, you know why, King? You know why? Because that's what they had to tell us to appease us when they were oppressing us in slavery. You all remember those stories that we're told that, the slaves obey your masters so your day will be long. And then if you do good in this lifetime, then you'll get the rewards in the next. I mean, y'all know that. So I'm just going to accept it right now.
Queen,
come on.
Jesus said, when they asked him about heaven, he said the kingdom of heaven is within.
Yeah.
He never looked up to the high. He never promised you a life after death.
Come on.
The understanding of death is mentally, spiritually, and morally.
Yeah.
The death of this world.
Mm-hmm.
That's the death shaking this old world off.
Come on.
Bringing in a brand new world.
King, you're going somewhere. You're going somewhere. You're going somewhere. You're going somewhere. I don't know if they're ready for that. Y'all might not be ready. That's like the whole concept of the Garden of Eden. They might not be ready for it. Yes, sir.
The very people, they drill into the earth.
Yeah.
I never heard the Caucasian say that he was worried about falling into hell.
No. Oh, no.
I saw the astronauts go out in space.
No.
And they saw planets that were millions of light years away.
Yeah, yeah.
But I never say they saw the pearly gates of heaven.
No. Nope.
Pearly come out of oysters that are in the ocean.
Yeah.
Gold comes out of the veins of the earth.
Sure.
Milk comes from cows that eat green grass.
Yeah.
Honey comes from bees that pollinate flowers.
Yeah.
Those are all right on this planet.
Yeah.
They're not in space. So we've been tricked.
Yeah.
We've been bamboozled. We've been hooked.
We're hoodwinked.
And we got to wake up. And a lot of us don't want to wake up, Queen.
Yeah, King.
They don't want to wake up.
Yeah, that's it. You didn't put it out there, King, and start us something.
Say, Queen,
you have a better one.
I
love you too. I mean, you put it out there. So maybe that's just really the space that we're in. And if we understand that, how we approach this physical existence will be better. If you want to do something better, you might just say, Collette, I'm happy with this just right now. Where I'm at right now is all I want to focus on. I like what I believe this world to be for me right now. That is a space and the mindset that I want to be in. And so that's the path I'm going to follow until it's too late. Because guess what? Or when the physical form is over, because it will be too much for me to think about something else. It will be too much for me to start over again. It would be too much for me to question what I've been given this whole time, because it doesn't mean that we've thought through what we're given. We're just told stuff and we believe it. Did you get that? I'm going to just let that sit with you. I'm going to go to the line. Thanks for your patience. Great, amazing morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Amazing. How are you?
I was thinking, Melanie, I was going to try to call you on the number you had left on me a few weeks ago, and I had left 2 messages, but never did hear back.
Okay.
And then I got tied up in some.
Are you still there? Can you turn down? I'm getting some kind of feedback. Did you turn down your TV or your computer or however you're tuning in so I can hear you?
I'm looking at a TV, and I'm not near a radio.
Okay, I can hear you now. So if you called me, everyone knows my number, 313-422-5751. If indeed you
Yeah.
called me and because on my phone it doesn't show that I have any missed messages. So
Hmm.
you can call me back. You can text me your information into that number and I can call you back. Not a problem. And I just tell everyone this, and I'm not trying to be funny and I don't want you to take this the wrong way. If I give somebody my number, like people tell me all the time, well, I called you and you didn't call me back. Okay, keep calling me. If I got something that you need, or if, I mean, you want to assume that technology is what it is, and I got the message and I just am not responding, I didn't get the message. So if anyone, I mean, just in any avenue in your life, if you're trying to get something and someone gives you a telephone number, if you tried once or you tried again, and maybe the way that you tried isn't the best way. So maybe you should text them and say, well, hey, I don't know, maybe something's going on with your phone. Why don't you, hey, this is who I am. Can you call me? Everyone, if I give out this number, it means I'll talk to you. Because I know tons of people don't give out their telephone numbers. They'll tell you to call this station, and then I'll screen you that way. I don't do that. So if I give you this number, that means I'm open to whatever assistance you're trying to ask of me or the conversation you want to have. So I just ask everyone that if indeed I do that, and you say that you've reached out to me and I haven't responded, work with me to be able to help me get to you. So if I didn't get a voicemail, then text me. So everyone, you got my number again, 313, if you still want to have a conversation, 422-5751, and then just text me if you don't mind. Say, hey, I was on the show. This is what I want to talk about, if that's okay.
Okay.
Okay?
I appreciate you re-giving that. You know what? It's ironic. I was thinking about you,
Okay.
and I wanted to bring some things, just to the listening audience that I am just appalled with how the negligence within our powers of being harms those of us who are either handicapped, elderly,
Okay.
or victims of domestic violence, and it is appalling.
Okay.
Let me give you an example. Sunday, it was apartment negligence that collapsed, and 2 people were unfortunately injured.
Okay.
Now, this management company that runs it is the type, if you tell them of complaints, when they don't want to do it, they will leave it unattended to purposely, to what I call silently make you leave. And yet, when you say you're tired of living in the city, so many people get an attitude like you're not supposed to want to live better than be someplace where you pay your rent and it's being paid for you. You can't even go to your job without falling from a 3rd floor to a ground level.
Okay.
That's terrible.
Well, let me ask this, and this is maybe not directly to you or just to anyone. I don't understand if people are paying for housing and it is not up to par, and you've constantly made the request, and management has done nothing about it, why you continue to live in that space.
Yeah, that would be the logical thing for those that into that. But then I'll play devil's advocate on this aspect.
Okay, please.
Not all, but a tiny margin. Some can't afford to move. Because when you move, you got to have first month security deposit, and some cases last month.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So then
some can be inhibited based upon a lack of transportation. And if you don't have a blood family that can drive you around to look for better housing, this is how you're stuck in this predicament.
And I understand that. And so my thing is then, who do you reach out to? So do you just keep letting the people walk all over you? Are you a
When
part
you
of?
go to
Are
the
you a
city,
part of a
this
community
is something
group?
I noticed that they are doing. If you call and you make a legitimate complaint,
Okay.
and you bring what is going on with your property,
Okay.
within building and safety, you have employees that will tell management companies and owners who's calling against them. So the owner or the management company can just go ahead and evict you and get rid of you,
Okay.
rather than to rectify and clean up the garbage, clean up the dilapidated property.
Okay.
See, it's more cheaper for them to just go ahead and evict you and put this disgracefulness on your record, even though you are paying rent or it's being paid free, either way, than to go ahead and invest money and fix it up.
Sure. So let me just ask you though. So at the end of the day, isn't that what happens in poor communities, because there are people who prey on the poor and that is their business model, and there's no moral fortitude in saying that I need to do this? That is their business model. So my position with us is, then what do we do? I mean, I know folks that have housing. Heck, I owned houses and couldn't get black folk to do right by me, and tenants told me, these where you created for us looks better than any place we've ever been in. And I had black folks who dogged me out. And I just tried to create more than subpar conditions. So I guess my whole thing is, if indeed there are people that need help, there are organizations that folks know folks that can present other options to them if they want that. I get it. I know what you're explaining.
But I want to emphasize, you said a key thing. There are also organizations who get federal dollars that's supposed to cover in the event you've been in domestic violence or you've been homeless. You get federal funds to help fund any of us that's been through that.
Yes.
Yet at the same time, you will pay purposely for garbage property. You'll pay for property with giant holes in it and then pretend like you don't know about it. And when you complain to them, make up a fictitious police report because they don't want to be bothered and because they don't want to deal with it. This is what happens right here in the beloved city of Detroit.
I absolutely agree, but I don't believe that every agency is like that. I
didn't say everyone.
And I'm not. And I'm just saying for my purposes. I'm saying for my purposes in this conversation
that I can prove.
Okay, so then based off of that, so what do you want us to do? Because I get everything that you're saying. I'm solutions oriented. So based on what you know and what you can prove, what are you asking our conversation to be?
I want to have an in-depth conversation.
Okay.
I want to show you some things of what's been experienced for me. To do nothing more than to tell it is healing enough.
Okay.
And to prove it, that's even greater.
Okay. Well, if indeed...
Nothing more, nothing less.
If indeed that is your charge, just to tell and prove...
So that I can get with you to get email the living conditions I was forced to live in.
I'm sorry, you said you want my email address?
Yes.
Sure, everyone, my email address is All Access Services. That's ALLACCESSERVICES. All one word.
Can you repeat it again?
All Access Services. ALLACCESSERVICES @gmail.com. all one word, allaccessservices@gmail.com. And you all have my
Okay, so
telephone.
that's ALLACCESSERVICES.
No, services. Like service, SERVICES.
Okay.
So it has three S's. So all is what, just say if you said ALL, all, then access, ACCESS, and then services, SERVICES. And then you put it all together at gmail.com. So it's all access services at gmail.com.
Okay. And you're only on what days?
Thursday mornings from 7 to 8, Friday mornings from 7 to 9. And I do radio on 9:10 on Saturdays.
From 7 to 9 on Friday.
On Fridays, here.
And on Thursday?
From 7 to 8.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to be able to show you, email you a list of these pictures and showing what I've had to go through over the winter into currently.
Okay.
And I'm really appalled that you got a building of safety that'll come out and do inspections instead of condemning these properties
Okay.
immediately. They will still allow these people to continue renting, knowing that you're not fixing up, knowing that you're not up code.
Okay.
And then say, only after somebody's been in a tragedy, you don't understand how a property is allowed to continuously be rented when it has years of violation, but you don't enforce it.
All right. Well, please, you have my telephone number, and I gave you my email address. You can scan it, send it right on over to me. I'll absolutely look at it, and we can share it, and we can have a conversation about it. I can create a show around it. Not a problem.
Yeah, I'm going to do that
Okay.
today,
Sure.
no later than next week.
Okay. Not a
And I
problem.
appreciate you,
Not a problem.
you know.
And let me say to you, and
even if you have to email me
sure.
and let me know what day can we do
Okay.
this, because I've been trying to get my word out, because this is the most appalling thing to, let me say this in closing.
All right.
Do you realize that Michta can know that you're living in dilapidated properties and will tell you that you should not complain
No.
when you have a ceiling that's caved in or have holes in your ceiling? You have Michta staff, and I can prove it, where they tell you not to complain and that you should be glad to live in inhabitable living conditions.
No. And I've actually worked with Mishta, had a contract through Mishta with the development of housing in Highland Park under the marketing side, and have never, ever heard that. Definitely want to see that information, because no. That just, no. Haven't ever experienced that. So please get that over to me. You have my
I'll
telephone
call you
number.
today
And
so
I
we
look.
can talk more in depth.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Will you be available after 9?
No, not after here. I got to head back out. I got credentials. I got the Grand Prix tomorrow. I have to prep for that show. So I probably won't be still till at about 4 o'clock today. So I'm running all the way up until 4, and then I'm up again at 5 for Grand Prix and airing for then. So 4, but again, if you have this, even if I can't talk, if you text, if you email me, then I'll get it, and I'll do my best in the midst of my day-to-day to respond and to be able to schedule something with you.
Okay.
All right?
So I will text you,
Okay.
and I hope that you can make time to call me.
Sure. I can do that. I'll do that. Text me, and I'll make time.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. I mean, everyone, if indeed you were kind enough to listen through her story and the conditions in which she lives in, I am not remiss in believing that so many of us live that way. Be very clear. I understand it because there's not a empathy and compassion when people are looking at their bottom line. And I'm not saying it's right. I believe that there are tons of organizations who should be doing different things that they aren't. And I believe that we need to start having those types of real conversations that provide viable solutions and other options, is all that I'm saying. And so thank you for taking the time to contact me, to believe that we can have a conversation if I can be of some kind of resource to shed the light. And I want to do more than shed the light. If you'll learn me better, I want to shed the light, and then I want to have another opportunity. So I appreciate that. I got one other call I want to take before we wrap up. Thanks for your patience. Great morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, Martin Luther King Jr. says it's the policymakers who created the darkness and crippled the black community.
Okay.
He were 100% right. But we haven't had any organization to study policies. Even the policies that's operating today, I don't hear anyone talking about the policies and their consequences.
Sure.
When the city council gave away all the public assets that we own,
Okay.
they never gave us an impact study before it happened.
Right.
So
Well,
therefore,
wait,
here
stay, Brother
we
Tyrone.
blaming
Wait,
each
stay right
other
there. 1 second, Brother
for
Tyrone.
policies.
Wait, stay right there.
that-
1 second. Brother Tyrone, stay right there 1 second. Because they did not have the intellect themselves to understand the impact. They were somebody else's Pinocchio. But please continue your point.
Well, I won't go into it, but
Okay.
the successive city council
Yes.
since 1996
Okay.
collaborated with state government
All right.
to reduce us to the term that we are right now.
Okay.
So they were conscious, and they sold the community out, but with the blessing of the black church also, the ministers.
I believe that.
But what we did, Collette, and the audience,
Yeah.
when after 1877,
Okay.
black people as a whole went from economically from slavery direct to semi-slavery, and that was sharecropping.
Yes.
To maintain us on those plantations, we lived under terrorism of the Klansmen and all type of other things.
Yes.
In the black community, as we progress through time,
Okay.
the retailer in the community was white,
Yes.
and that lasted all the way up to 1945.
Okay.
You did have a Tulsa, Oklahoma, they called Black White Wall Street.
Sure.
And you had over in Richmond, Virginia, the first chartered black bank by a black woman.
Yes, Brother Tyrone, you got 1 minute. You got 1 minute to, because you're going to wrap up the show.
I
So 1
wish I'd
minute.
have got in early, but let me say this
Yes.
with this 1 minute.
Sure.
And we were under oppression and to 1945.
Okay.
1945, mechanical cotton picker, that was the mechanical tools and tractors, forced us off the land.
Okay.
From 1945 to 1970, we were moving to cities trying to find jobs because we didn't have any income.
Okay.
So therefore, we was transformed from an agrarian people to an urban people.
Sure.
By 1970, we was in the cities.
Okay.
In the cities, the federal government, through the Commerce Department,
Okay.
financed the Jews first in our community to
Okay.
become the retailer.
Okay.
Then in 1970s, they financed, that's the federal government,
Okay.
the Arab and other immigrants all over the country. That's why when you go to every black community.
Okay. So, Brother
Go-
Tyrone, now we got to stop because my time is up. And I got to wrap up for our next, she's in the building, so Ms. Perryman's going to be in to have, these great conversations she has. So I got
Can
to
I
ask you,
just sum up this and just say this?
that's it.
It's not us that didn't open business, don't have jobs. It was the policy, and that's what we got to understand.
All right. Absolutely. You know what? Brother Tyrone makes a great point. Absolutely, it's the policy. And so now you need to determine who those policy makers are. If you then want a different outcome, then you have to know how to change the policy. And I am under the belief, as I tell all of us, protest without policy doesn't yield to power. But if you're constantly giving your power away, then you'll still be without. I mean, that's just the truth of it. So you got to remember to change your narrative. You have to understand what you have at hand. And if you're committed to doing something different, then your outcomes. It's about what you choose to do. It's great to understand it, but then there's some action associated with it. So everyone, our 2 hours is up. You know, Friday shouldn't be this fun. So much appreciative of your time. Make today amazing. Have a phenomenal rest of the week into next week. Look forward to seeing you next Thursday. Have an amazing day.